Hello everyone. First of all, I have to say thank you for having me here. And I have to say that this conference and this adventure, it's something special for me. It's not another conference. Actually, I've never been so far from my home in my life. And to be honest, it's one of the most important and interesting places in my life. As mentioned, in Poland, I'm one of the co-founders of Wieslaw, and we are part of UX Fellows. And thanks to UX Fellows, the international alliance of companies like us, I'm here. So thank you very much. And when I was sure that I'm coming to Interaction South America, I started to think, what does it mean Interaction South America? And I'm very into lean design. So as in the lean philosophy, I put some hypotheses that I want to check. What means to me South America? What means Argentina? And I decided to validate those hypotheses. So I made this little inquiry on Facebook with my friends, and I was expecting such answers. So what could be the most popular thing about Argentina? For sure, steaks. Meat, a lot of meat. And this is my photo from last week. And what could be another thing? Of course, La Mano de Dios, Maradona. And you know, I'm very into football. So for my generation, I'm quite a young guy, but when I was young, Maradona, he was a symbol. Now Messi, of course, but with my friends, yes, La Mano de Dios. And thanks to Santiago sitting here, this is a fantastic picture, thank you very much. And this is the most difficult part of my presentation, tango. And thanks to Santiago, it appears that one of the most famous tango singers was El Polaco. And I forgot how to pronounce Gorzenice. So steaks, Diego Maradona, football, and tango. But this is, of course, there are stereotypes, like the external layer of the culture of Argentina. But when I look a little bit more detail into insights from my study, you can see that there were a lot of them. And you see that tango, meat, and sex. Diego Maradona, Patagonia Concagua, Boca Juniors River Plate. And that game was like 3 days ago. So, yes. And another interesting insight was that steaks, tango, Maradona, Diego Madonna. So, yeah, I think it was about Evita Peron. I think so. Yeah, but when I look deeper into that, there was, of course, more. There was war, there was Peron, crisis, all that stuff, but that was just the beginning of my study. So, what are the three stereotypes when you think of Poland? Can you just help me? Vodka, pierogi, Pope, Wałęsa. Yes, you are so smart. So Pope, Wałęsa, and vodka. Yes, of course, there are stereotypes, but in fact, anybody was in Poland. And so that presentation, those studies about stereotypes, just the beginning, because I decided that, of course, I'm a UX designer, and if I'm going to such a conference, I have to know more. I have to take a deeper look into context, into people, into place, because I felt that in some way, and at that moment I didn't know, it was just the assumption, but I know that we are some kind of familiar, like from the same family, and there's something similar with our country. So I came to Argentina and I started my trip with my wife and 11-year-old baby. So after 16 hours of flights, we take at the airport a car and we make another 500 kilometers the same day. So that was quite hard, but we started to get known to the country. So we saw the beautiful nature, Grandes Salinas, amazing place. We saw mountains, hot ones, the biggest mountains I've ever seen. We saw animals, llama. I never seen llama, I always That was a dream of my wife, actually, to see that. But we saw the little villages, like the touristic ones, but the real ones, with the bread, freshly made, with empanadas, with things like that, the colors. I know it's for tourists, but it's such a real thing. We saw cities which look like Grand Theft Auto game. Actually, look at that. Even the Rockstar company here. You see that? I had more than 100 likes on Facebook with that photo. But we also see those little important stuff connected to religion and your Argentinian Robin Hood. So that was amazing. We stopped every time we see that to make the photos. And every time we saw the smoking cigarettes over there. And we see the art. This is made by my wife. I was at the conference at the moment, but it's one from the from the Modern Gallery. But we see also the street art, like on the buildings, and that's amazing, believe me. Maybe it's normal for you, but for the European guy going around the country, see like that, and at the screen you don't see the colors. Maybe on over there it's better, but fantastic. And I also see me. Like, look at... Yeah? Yeah. Of course, food, fantastic, everyday steak. But we ate both in a very good restaurant, thanks to our host here. But also, like in the little places, we talk to the real people. I try, because my Spanish is very bad. My wife just saved my ass, Dad. This guy, drinking in the morning, mate de coca, exciting. But I also see the country where the family is very important, where the kids, it's one of the most important stuff. And we were going to the Andes, and we saw this bicycle with the family, and I said to my wife, look, he's going with the kid. And then when we were passing by, he was like that. The whole family on one motorcycle, fantastic. But I met the people who loves the kid. Everyone, because as I said, I was with the 11-year-old baby, and every time somebody just passed us, they said, oh, hello, hello. How cute, how cute. And this is Gonzalo, the chief of the conference. Okay. So this is amazing how you are open to the people, to the family, how emotions are important to you. And I think it's the best sign of the culture of the country, how you treat your family and kids, how people are important. But I also discovered a country with very, very difficult history, with the conflicts, with the wars, with the politics, with the Pope. Even if we saw the coffee chain, Coffee con Dias. Yeah, but the next part of my presentation, you will see how familiar it is to Poland. You said Pope with the Poland, you had the Pope. But I know that the situation in Argentina, it's not so easy. But when I started to talk to the people, I figured out what does it mean. When I was in, I think it was Tucumán, the city of Tucumán, I go in the evening for the walk with the camera, and there was this 1,000 people just clapping their hands next to the big government building. And I took a photo, and they said, why are you taking the photo? Are you spying us? And there was the moment that I started to think, wow, what's happening? And we started to talk about the politics, about the situation. And in that moment, when we were talking, all the people just stand and start to sing your anthem, your hymn. Until you know the national song. And believe me or not, but I almost started crying because it was such amazing situations. But I also see the country. Can I see the music? There's no music? When I was at the Polane, at the walk, I saw the country when you're protesting like that. I was just standing for 1 hour listening to those guys. It's amazing. But of course, it's not the party. It's the real people, the real problems, the workers. So, as summing up, it was very long but exciting 7 days, 6.5 flights from Poland, almost 4,500 kilometers around Argentina. And I know that I don't know as much as I want your country, but I had this feeling that I had to change my presentation 100%. So after that trip, I just move out my presentation and make it from scratch. Because I knew that I had to write a new message. And then we're going back to Poland. Poland is not a big country, but it's one of them. It's very long from here. It's almost 13,000 kilometers, so it's a long flight. And this is not a big country in Europe. The fact is that we are in the center of the Europe. The central point of the Europe, like geographically, is in Poland. But you cannot understand the history of Poland and why I'm here and why I'm talking such stories without the context. As you know, as UX designers, context is everything. And the context is that we are between Germany and Russia. And that's the context of our whole history. We are between very two important and big and in many cases aggressive countries. So there was a time, like a couple hundred years ago, when Poland was one of the biggest countries in Europe. There was a Poland and Ukraine together, so we are a really big country. But there also was for almost 120 years when there was no Poland, because our neighborhoods decided, there's no need to be Poland on the map. So it's some kind of sad story for our country, because they did everything they could to destroy the culture. But they couldn't, because the people were strong and so motivated to keep the culture with the energy and all that stuff that we somehow survived. And when the First World War finished in 1918, and we get back our freedom only for not more than 21 years, because the Second War started actually in Poland. This ship, maybe you know, Schleswig-Holstein, they made the first shots of the Second War, and it was in the city of Gdańsk. So again, Poland was like the place of very important moments in Europe. So again, after 21 years, we had to fight for our freedom. And maybe you know or not, but Poland was the place of the Holocaust made by Germans. And the photo you see, it's the Warsaw in 1945, after Warsaw Uprising. And I want to see a short movie, and it's made by the Polish excellent digital studio. And it's a movie how the city, which now is 2.5 million, looks just after the war. Can you set the music? And turn on the light? A little bit. What you see now is the place of the Warsaw Ghetto. All this area was a Warsaw Ghetto, completely destroyed by Germans. And the only thing survived with one church. You can see it here. So yes, this is the story of my city. I'm from Warsaw, and you cannot understand our history without that movie. Even now, if you see, I'm so nervous. It is very important to us, but after Second War, we thought that we are free because our Soviet friends gave us freedom. But for more than 50 years, actually wasn't free because we were at the red side, like in the Warsaw Pact. So again, this nation, those people, after such thing as you see on the movie, had to fight with another system. But we have our new friends. And after Second War, you see the city, and this is the city, the center of the city now. Russia asked us, all right, we are friends. We are your friends, so we can give you one gift, a very good one, and you can choose. Do you want the underground, like metro, or the Palace of Culture looks like this? And our smart politicians like, come on, the palace. So the fact is, we get the underground like when I was 9, so it took us 50 years. That is some kind of joke, but those years after the Second War wasn't so happy. We had in '81 the state of emergency when General Jaruzelski just take the army and put it into streets, killing people. That was a nightmare, and it was just 1 year before I got birth. But again, in 1989, as you know probably, and like 3 weeks ago there was a 25th anniversary, the wall in Berlin fell. So that was a very important moment for Europe. But to understand that thing, we have to go back 10 years before. Because it is Poland, it was the place where all the action, which effect was the fall of the communism, had place. And there was the first visit of Polish Pope in Warsaw. I tried to find on YouTube the movie with English version, but I couldn't. But you have to imagine that in 1891, sorry, this was late 70s, just after Pope has started to being a Pope, he went to Warsaw, and communism in Poland were completely against church. And he said at the main place to more than 1 million people that, of course, it wasn't a direct message, but he said, communism will fall in this, in this place. So this was the first moment. And of course, another very important person was Wałęsa, and he started the movement. He's a very controversial person in Poland, but the fact is he started the movement of changes in Europe. And I want you to see the short movie from, it was just before, it was certain that the communism will fall. And this is the speech he gave in States.
Members of the Congress,
and this is one of the most
it is
important
my great
words
privilege,
for the word democracy.
and I deem it a high honor and personal pleasure to present to you the Honorable Lech Wałęsa, Chairman of Solidarność.
And he was the first communist leader speaking in the Senate. And you have to know that he's an electrician, not a professional politician.
Panie Przewodniczący Izby Reprezentantów, Panie Prezydencie, Szanowni Członkowie obu Izb Kongresu, Panie i Panowie.
Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, members of the Cabinet, distinguished members of the House and Senate.
My, naród.
We, the people.
Oto słowa, od których chcę zacząć moje przemówienie.
With these words, I wish to begin my address.
Nikomu na tej sali nie muszę przypominać, skąd one pochodzą.
I do not need to remind anyone here where these words come from.
Nie muszę też tłumaczyć, że ja, elektryk z Gdańska, też mam prawo się nimi powoływać.
And I do not need to explain that I, an electrician from Gdańsk, am also entitled to invoke them.
And that was the beginning of changes, actually. After Poland, as you know, all countries in Eastern Europe, country by country by country by country, were saying we are free. And we said, we are free, we are happy. But as you know, communism has one effect to the economy. There was no economy. So if you look at the numbers, in the early 90s, we said we are free, we are happy, but we are screwed. We had no money. Sorry. We had almost 700% inflation, 700. And it said that in some moment there was more than 1,000%. So the same day, you had a paper money, which you can buy nothing with that. We had more than 20% unemployment people, and we had -7 GNP, I mean the percent of growing country. So there was a price that we had to pay for the freedom, and we paid that. And as I said, we are 25 years later, and maybe you know, or maybe you're not, European Union, in last year, they are in a very big crisis. And we're the only country, as you can see, and our government is very proud of that photo, with the positive economical result. But why was that? Because we had no economy in the early 90s, and we had to make reforms. We had to restructure our country. We had to pay the price for the freedom, and we know how to work hard. And it was all the people, as Wałęsa said, we, the people, we made it. And I'm pretty sure that it's not because of the politics, because everywhere at the earth politics sucks, but it's because of the people. And when you just look into the numbers, our economical results year by year were fantastic. We are the only country in the European Union growing so fast. But the last momentum of the history of our country is this year, when Europe, for the first time in the history, they said that the president of the European Union would be a guy from the new countries. And there'll always be some kind of, non-harmonious situation with the old, good countries and the new ones, the worst one. And from that moment they said, okay, we appreciate the thing you've done, and our prime minister, he will be, like from this December of this year, the president of the European Union. And why I'm saying that? Because how was it possible? And it's all about the people. And it was like supernova, because for many, many years we were like in the prison. We couldn't do stuff we wanted to. And now in 1989, they said, you are free, you can do anything you want. And I want to show you an example, an artifact of the Polish democracy. And it's that. Do you have any clue what is that? It's the Sphinx we called Jaws, because it's open like that, and you can sell anything you want from that. And there was actually the artifact, and I show you how it works. This is the stadium, the National Polish Stadium, during the communism, with 100,000 people over there. And this is democracy. The same stadium, and it was the biggest market in Europe. Like every week, thousands of people were working for the fortunes. And to be honest, the people get so, like in days, in weeks, they made money, like the real fortunes. And now it looks like that. It's Euro, it's the national stadium for Euro. And this is me, like a couple years ago. And I was thinking, all right, I missed this momentum in early 90s where people make fortunes. I missed dot-com era because I was like 16 and I thought I would be a journalist. And then I just thinking that technology is something interesting to me, but I was still thinking about the price we were paying for the growing market, and the real people that were just, the technology was around, the technology was rising much more faster that the people could adopt. And I was thinking how we can make that technology useful for people, friendly for people, how we can not be forced by technology, but technology should work for us. And of course the life, and this is the message, my message for you, the life is some kind of history of accidents. And of course in every Polish story there should be an alcohol. And there was this party when one of my friends said, you know, you would like to be a journalist, but you have no work, and you are doing universities, and I'm just finishing the first in Poland University of Human-Computer Interaction. I said, what? Human-Computer Interaction? It was like 2003. And he said, yes, this is the science that we are making technology stuff easy for people. I said, wow, sounds familiar, interesting. And there was another guy doing like that, and they said, you know, we're just going around agencies and we're saying, yes, technology should be useful for people, just hire me as a UX designer. And I said, what? What is UX designer? There are no such thing in Poland, so there were 3 of us. We had $100 like in our pockets. We were students, and we said, fuck yeah, we should make a company. Nobody wants to hire us. And we did it, actually. And this is the funny story with a bath. And this bath it's not the real bath from my parents' house, but the bath is one of the most important places in the history of our company, because there was this conference when the day before conference, our friend told us, you know, this is a very important conference, you should go. And I said, all right, but we have no logo, no name, no business cards, anything. And during that night, we make a website, business cards, logo, and a little leaflet. We're going around the conference and saying, you know, we are the first UX company in Poland. You have to hire us. And then nothing happened. One week later, I was a student, so it was quite normal that during the day I was lying in the bath, reading and sleeping. And there was this telephone. It said, do you remember me from the conference? We have this project. We want to develop this software, the really complicated one. Maybe you are interested. And I said, you know, I have to check, do we have the time? Do we have the resources? I will let you know in the 1 week. So 1 month later, with the first project solved from the bath, we have to hire people and make a new office. So our office was with my wife in my wife's grandma's apartment, just beneath the teeth, over there. So this very small apartment, like 2 rooms. And we started the company without nothing, without $100. But after a couple of months, we knew that there is no market and no community in Poland, but we need to learn and inspire ourselves. We need to get better. Because at that moment, to be honest, we knew that we should at some way research the users, make some wireframes, and that was all. We had good marketing at that moment only. So we decided we should go to the international conference and went to EuroIA in Copenhagen in 2009. And believe me, that was a conference for us. Like, open our eyes in 1 day, just were opened. And that evening, I remember, maybe somebody of you were in Copenhagen, in the free city of Christiania inside, where you can buy drugs for free, like illegal. So we went there and we started to discuss with my business partner, Hubert, one of those pretty guys. Hey, there's no such conference in Poland and we need it. And we met the people today. Why should we invite them for the next year? So when we wake up in the morning, quite sober, we just go to the conference, start speaking to the people. And next year, we founded the first Polish AI Summit with Eric Rice, with Jim Kalbach, Andrea Resmini on board. So it was quite cool. And we're just preparing like for 6 months, doing great job, very hard job. We had sponsors, big venue, 300 people. And there was this accident 3 days before our conference, when the Polish president and 100 people from the Polish parliament just died in 1 day, 3 days before the conference. And in 1 day, all the sponsors just passed out. I said, no way, we cannot support you. And I said, wow, no way. The first conference, 300 people, what should we do? Well, we said, okay, we try to make our best. So the conference started, first day, and I said, come on, where are the media? They're writing about that. And this is the eruption on Iceland, volcano, you remember? First day of the conference, after the air crash, something like that. And I said, no way. So, but media wasn't so bad. But Eric Rice asked me the question, you know, I had to go home to Copenhagen, and there is no flights, I have to go to my clients. And I said, fuck, what should we do? And because there were no flights, there were no trains, because everybody just buy all the tickets. There were no even ships to Copenhagen. So we rented a taxi from Warsaw to Copenhagen, about 2,000 kilometers. And this is Eric Rice, Andrea Resmini, Jim Kalbach, and we rent a they're called Happy Cab. So they put a hashtag on Twitter, I a Happy Cab, and they had almost 200 followers on Twitter, and they're tweeting all the time. So we spent 500 euros it was the best marketing investment ever. So I show you that you should understand that we have to deal with the failures, with the problems, and take it from that problems as much as we can. So the effect of the conference was that this year we had the fifth edition, and we built the community, and we had almost 2,000 people from all our conferences in Poland and from all over the place to build a community of UX designers. But still, we had this problem with the company that we had more and more projects, but we have no people. Anybody's in UX we can hire. So we knew that we need to empower the community. And I was listening to Eric's presentation about the community, and I understand it very well. And we had the purpose, and we had our value in the community, because we need both community and our competitors to make our company grow. So what we did, we said, okay, there is no specialist. We have to learn them. We have to teach them. So we So we decided to found the postgraduate studies, and after 4 years, we had this year studies in 3 cities with 120 students teaching them. And that's some kind of, it's really amazing how we did it, because there was one thing we knew: we couldn't do that alone. So you see in the first row, those guys, they are the mentors, and they are our main competitors on the market. And we said, if we want to make this community happen and this market growing, we have to make it together. So we are teaching the people together with the competitors, sharing the knowledge. And you can see they are just funny people, you know, with the horse, the students. But that was quite nice, and it's still growing. So when you serve your community, it always pays back in somehow. Sometimes it's the value for your country, for your company, for you, and sometimes it's value for your country. And a few weeks after the second edition of studies, it seems that one of the students, when the CEO of Center for Information Technology, and it's some kind of national agenda, and it's service design agency founded by government to service design the new services for the people. And I want to share with you a movie about the project, which goal was to change the situation with broken buses. Because in Poland, there's a lot of broken buses where our children, our kids are going to school. And this is such a problem, to school, to some kind of journey, some kind of holidays, etc. So they made this application when you can just put the number of registration to the app and find out, is everything okay with the bus? And then they decided we have to promote it somehow, and they made this movie.
Nie miej litości dla niesprawnego autobusu, który wozi twoje dziecko.
No mercy for bad bus which driving your kid.
Sprawdź autobus po numerze rejestracyjnym na www.bezpiecznyautobus.gov.pl. Bezpieczny autobus. Bezpłatna usługa Ministerstwa Spraw Wewnętrznych.
And you know, people got angry. But like hell. There were more than 1.5 million people saw on YouTube this movie. You have to know that there were about 100 movies with another ending on that story. And people were fighting for the bus. People were fighting with that bad lady and said, no, this is our bus. This is a good bus. You cannot kill it. So even in the main TV news, there was a big material about the said bus. And what people was like for months, for weeks talking about that. But the effect was like during 5 months, more than 1 million vehicles were checked with these applications. So it was pretty awesome. It was pretty awesome, but scary. And there was even a movie about the said airplane, I mean the president airplane, so that we should change the airplanes. So yes, that was the effect. But I think we can learn from each other, we Poles from you Argentinians and Latin Americans, and in the opposite way, that both we and Latin America, we are in the momentum of great change. The different change, we are in different moments, but still. And it's the people who are the most important for a change. The attitude, energy, and courage. How my presentation is about people and what they are doing. This is my wife and lady. And in the times when the technology is getting more and more important, and during that change, people had problems with the technology, it's you, it's the industry who can create valuable services for the people. And all the conferences about that, actually. And it's up to you how this industry will look in the near future. As I said, we had $100, and actually we created the community by accident, but we created. So what you should do is to find a great team of great people smarter than you. I found the people smarter than me, and that was a success. And I was very inspired by the first presentation of Liza, but I changed it a little bit. So in that presentation was that communication is very, very important. And I said communication and community is the most two important stuff. Because we alone, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't get clients. And for many, many months, we're alone in the market. And I said, it's a very bad situation. If you don't have any competitors, you don't have clients. Actually, maybe there's no market, so we had to create it. What is still one of the most important stuff is co-designing and engagement. Engagement of the community, engagement of the clients, engagement of all people connected in this ecosystem. And this was a funny story, actually, because we had this very, very strict client, and for many weeks we couldn't engage them. And then we make these workshops, and we bought them a cup, like for the winners. And there was this moment of change. And this is a very tricky point, promise and deliver. And again, slide from the first presentation, because this is a very important stuff when you are creating a new market and when you are trying to communicate the new stuff to the clients, like UX, service design, customer experience. You're always promising something, and you have to be very careful about not promising too much, promising as much as you can as a community, as the industry deliver. And remember that sometimes it's only $100 and 3 stupid guys enough to make a change. And that was us, and I hope that would be you, and that would be our industry. So thank you very much.